Mark Meirowitz is a professor at the State University of New York Maritime College. He's also an expert in Turkish foreign policy, and he joins us now for more. Mark, thanks so much for your time. Now, what is your take on this latest development? Greek soldiers on the island of Meis. What is this telling us?
Well, I would say that I'm very worried about it, obviously. Just want to say the tenor of all this. I was doing a little research on this, and you know that it was Premier Venizelos. August 30th is the Victory Day in Turkey, the Zafer Bayram, which also looks back to honor Ataturk for his accomplishments. And it actually was Premier Venizelos of Greece that nominated Ataturk for the Nobel Peace Prize. There were some good relations over the time between Turkey and Greece, and we shouldn't forget that. But we should also remember that the Cyprus dispute in 1974, when Turkey went into Cyprus basically to rescue the Turkish Cypriots, at that time, the reaction was a United States embargo against Turkey. So I think that we have to worry here about this situation. As the New York Times said, we cannot allow the situation between two NATO powers to get too hot. And it's not just the probity of which claim is right and which claim is not. I mean, I think that the idea of putting troops on the island when there are treaties and agreements about that is a very, very worrisome step. Turkey has a continental shelf. Turkey has rights under these various treaties. And, we really need to get to the negotiation table and try to work this out. This is exactly the point of Admiral Gurdeniz, who is the proponent of this blue homeland idea, as an expert, really one of the premier experts on these issues. They need to sit down and get these issues discussed, because these are long-standing issues between Turkey and Greece. These are not issues that just came up 5 minutes ago. It kind of reminds me in a way, and I wanted to say something about distraction, and it's very important. America is now about to have a national election. So although President Trump wants to get involved, he's very busy with getting reelected. Second point, Britain, and this was pointed out in the New York Times editorial, is completely distracted by Brexit, by COVID. So it's not involved. So the Germans are now involved, and they're trying to do bilateral negotiations. But the truth of the matter is, this is not a subject for shuttle diplomacy.
Right.
This is a very, very big issue.
Right, big issue that's been there for such a long time. We are seeing the escalation of tensions now. What is the solution to this? I mean, we already heard from both sides. Both of them said they will not back down. So what can be done to again discuss this and kind of put this, find a solution to this?
Again, everybody's got to step back and not escalate this further. I mean, the New York Times editorial today was very clear. A conflict between NATO members should be unthinkable, and war is in nobody's interest. That's for sure. I do believe, and this is just my personal opinion, clearly those troops need to be withdrawn by Greece, and then we need to get to the table and talk about these issues. Now, what complicates this is the fact that everybody is entering into agreements. We have a Greece-Egypt accord, which goes directly in conflict with Turkey's Libya accord, and of course the treaties. This reminds me, this whole position of Greece in a large part in China's position on the islands in the South China Sea, militarizing those islands. The last thing that should be done is to put troops on these islands. This is very, very, very bad. It's planning and could dangerously escalate the situation. I like the idea of getting together, using negotiation, or maybe going to the International Court of Justice, or maybe a mediation, not a binding arbitration, a mediation, to sit down and talk about this. And by the way, at the same time, we should be talking about Cyprus itself, because Cyprus all of this is about the resources in the Eastern Mediterranean. That's what this is all about. And there's a very valuable resources. And everybody wants to get that. This reminds me in American history, I also teach American history, of the gold rush in 1848, where everybody ran to stake a claim. And it was chaos. We can't have this chaos now during COVID, when the world is in a dire situation. We cannot have this. And by the way, I think, and I want to say this point is very, very important. My worry, my concern is just like what happened in the Cyprus dispute in '74, where the United States, the Nixon, everybody was distracted by Watergate. And then there was an embargo put on by Congress. I would be concerned that at the end of the day here, the way the sort of teams are, in a soccer match, kind of a match here between Greece and Turkey, and different groups are getting on each side of the issue, France, Egypt, all the different groups on Greece's side, and then Turkey with Russia, and on and on. It doesn't get you anywhere. And the U.S. Congress, I believe, because I can't predict the future, I don't think will look kindly on an escalation by Turkey of the situation. I think Turkey should show its diplomatic ability here to try to work on this issue, to show its good offices and good intentions and all of the treaties and the Turkish continental shelf. I mean, look, the law of the sea is more complicated than maybe, complicated science. It's impossible, very complicated. So at the end of the day, we should get together and negotiate.
Okay, get together and negotiate. Mark Meirowitz, thanks so much for that. He's a professor at the State University of New York Maritime College.